Before the skyscrapers, before the flag, before the word America was even whispered, this vast land was already ancient. Across the plains, forests, and deserts lived the First Nations, cultures older than the pyramids. The ancestral Puebloans built cities of stone in the cliffs of the Southwest. The Mississippian peoples raised earthen pyramids taller than cathedrals. And from the Arctic to the Everglades, tribes hunted, traded, and thrived, each bound to the earth that sustained them. Then came the sails. In 1492, the world collided. European ships, Spanish, English, French, Dutch, cut through the Atlantic waves. They came seeking gold, glory, and God. But what they found was a new world, and a people who already called it home. The Spanish built missions across the south and west. The French mapped the rivers and traded furs in the north. And the English, they came to stay. In 1607, Jamestown was born, fragile, starving, clinging to life on a swampy shore. 13 colonies would rise along the Atlantic coast, each with its own dream. Some sought freedom, others sought fortune, and beneath it all, a darker engine powered their growth. Enslaved Africans, stolen from across the ocean, building the foundations of a new world with chains around their wrists. By the mid-1700s, those colonies had grown restless. They called themselves Americans now, but they were ruled by a distant king. When Britain taxed them without voice, they answered with rebellion. In 1775, the first shots cracked at Lexington and Concord. Farmers faced soldiers, and history turned. Out of war, a nation was born. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence thundered to the world. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. It was an idea as pure as it was imperfect, for in a land of liberty, millions still lived enslaved. The Revolutionary War burned for 8 long years. George Washington led an army of farmers and dreamers against the empire of the age, and won. When the smoke cleared, a new flag rose, 13 stars for 13 states. In 1789, the Constitution gave the people their voice and their law. The United States of America took its first breath, but freedom was fragile. The early republic was a balancing act, democracy against greed, unity against ambition. Men like Hamilton, Jefferson, and Adams debated the soul of the nation. And while they built, the frontier called. In the 1800s, settlers pushed west, across rivers, mountains, and plains. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the nation overnight. Lewis and Clark followed the Missouri to the Pacific. And the cry of manifest destiny declared that this land was America's to claim. But for the native nations who had lived here for millennia, that destiny was disaster. They were driven from their homelands, the Trail of Tears, the broken treaties, the vanished nations. The land was vast, but conscience was small. In the South, cotton ruled. Plantations grew rich on the backs of enslaved Africans. In the North, factories rose, engines of iron and ambition. The nation prospered and split apart. The question that haunted the Republic since its birth could no longer be ignored. Can a nation founded on freedom survive while millions remain enslaved? In 1861, the Union shattered. The Civil War began, brother against brother, North against South. Fields turned red from Antietam to Gettysburg. Cities burned. Families starved. Over 600,000 Americans died, more than in any war before or since. And when it ended, slavery was dead, but the wounds of hate were not. Abraham Lincoln, who vowed a new birth of freedom, was shot in a theater before he could see that dream reborn. The nation rebuilt, painfully, unevenly. Freedmen sought land, rights, and dignity. But segregation, terror, and Jim Crow laws rose from the ashes. The fight for equality would never fade, it would only evolve. The 20th century dawned. America became an industrial giant. Steel, oil, railroads, and electricity transformed the land. Immigrants poured through Ellis Island, eyes filled with hope and fear. New York's skyline clawed toward the heavens. The frontier was gone, but ambition had only just begun. Then came the wars of the world. In 1917, America entered the Great War to make the world safe for democracy. When it ended, the world was changed, but peace was fleeting. The Great Depression struck in 1929. Banks failed. Breadlines stretched for miles. Dust storms swept the plains. And yet, from despair, the nation endured. Through Roosevelt's New Deal, through work, through grit. Then came Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. America was at war again, this time for survival. From Normandy's beaches to Iwo Jima's cliffs, millions served, fought, and died. The atomic bomb ended it, and began the atomic age. In the ashes of World War II, America stood tall, now a superpower, now a symbol of hope and fear in equal measure. The Cold War began, an age of spies, rockets, and shadows. From Berlin to Cuba, the world teetered on the edge of annihilation. At home, another war raged for civil rights. Rosa Parks refused to stand. Martin Luther King Jr. marched with words, not weapons. Malcolm X spoke of power, and the nation looked into its soul. The 1960s were fire and thunder, JFK's promise, Vietnam's horror, the moon landing's wonder. For the first time, humans left Earth and looked back at the world they had built. In those years, America changed again, through protest, music, rebellion, and revolution of thought. The nation struggled, stumbled, and grew. By the late 20th century, the Cold War froze and finally thawed. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, and the United States stood alone as the world's lone superpower. The internet age dawned, connecting every voice, every dream, every lie. Then came September 11th, 2001. Fire, smoke, and sorrow filled the sky over New York. The towers fell, and the world changed again. America went to war, in Afghanistan, then Iraq, searching for safety, for meaning, for closure. In the decades that followed, the nation faced new battles against terrorism, division, and itself. The Great Recession tested its resilience. Movements for equality, for climate, for truth rose from the streets and screens. A black president was elected. A divided nation argued over what it meant to be united. Today, America stands at a crossroads, a republic of contradictions, still striving to perfect the promise made in 1776. The same land that birthed freedom and slavery, innovation and destruction, still wrestles with its soul. Yet in every generation, through struggle and change, one truth endures: that the United States is not an idea finished, but an idea becoming. From the first peoples who called it home, to the explorers, the dreamers, the enslaved, the immigrants, the inventors, the protesters, each added a verse to the story of America. A story of contradictions, of cruelty and courage, division and unity, hope and heartbreak. The story of a nation always becoming itself. This is the short story of the United States of America. Please, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe now to help this channel grow. Thank you.